friends, so welcome to Tassel Tuesday. I thought what I would do today is something a little bit different. We are going to create a tassel, but we are also going to create my very first tassel kit for my Etsy shop. I may be asking you some questions later on in the video, like maybe what should go with this tassel as far as embellishments, or whatever I decide in the video. If you think I should switch it out for something else, please let me know. If you see that I've forgotten something, let me know about that. But so this is the first time for me, and I love your input and I love your help, so feel free to put a comment in the comment section saying you like it the way it is, I should add something, whatever. And then I'll make sure that I take your suggestions and put them to good use. This is the fabric that I have chosen to work with. This is a vintage fabric that I got at the thrift store. I just love it. It's been washed. So I'm gonna start by what I usually do. I'm gonna go ahead and tear the fabric into strips. All right, friends, we have about 18 inches across this particular piece of fabric. And if we fold that in half, then that's going to be about a 9-inch tassel. And then if you're going to make a puff top, you're going to tie it off about here, and that's a very nice tassel. And the great thing is that somebody can trim the end and make it whatever size they want. I would rather give more for the kit, and then somebody can use it, you know, the other fabric for something else. There's so many things. You can, you know, put the little extras on top of paper clips to embellish them. You can put them on snippet rolls. You can line the pages of a journal. There's so many things you can do with a little piece of fabric. So I'm gonna go ahead and notch these. I usually, you guys know, I like a really puffy puff top. So I think I was doing like 20 strands of fabric, but that was before I was mixing with ribbon. So we'll pick some coordinating ribbon to go in here and to create these tassels. So we're gonna create a tassel, and then from the same materials, we're going to create the kit. And that way you can see the finished product and you can see what your kit would look like. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut, you know what, I'm just gonna go all the way across. If I have enough for 2 kits, then that's great. If not, whatever, that's fine. I'm just gonna do my snippets, and I snip them about a 1/2 inch, and then I tear the rest of the way. So once I've notched all of the edges, then I'll go ahead and I'll pull them, and I have to make sure I notch them far enough down or they kind of catch. So then I'll tear them all, and then I'll have my strips, and then there'll be some loose fibers on the edges, and I just pull those out of each side. And then once I lay them out, there'll be a few more stragglers, but they eventually stop coming out. But tearing them leaves a nice, fluffy, very shabby chic edge, and I just love the way it looks. Hopefully you can see that. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of those off camera, and then I'll show you the finished pieces. All right, friends, so here we should have 20 cuts, which means we have 40 pieces, because I folded the fabric in half, snipped it, tore it, and then cut the end. So each one is actually 2. So what we're gonna do, and this is pretty thin fabric, so that's I think gonna work out fine. It's not gonna be an over-the-top huge tassel or anything. Let's divide them into 2 stacks. There's actually 20 strands here and 20 strands here. So one will be for me to work with today, and the other one will be for our Etsy shop tassel kit. So let's see. Let's go ahead. This will be the one I'll work with. This will be for our kit. I'm gonna pull the extra threads out because I haven't done that, and then I'll fold it into a nice little square, I guess. That's how I'll do it. Anyway, we're learning together, guys. And actually, friends, while I am taking out the extra threads, if you choose to purchase a tassel kit from me now or in the future or whatever, if you get a piece and you know I call it shedding and it's shedding, don't worry, just pull it off. It'll stop. It's not going to keep shedding till it's gone, because what'll happen is you end up working with it, which will loosen some fibers, but then you'll end up creating your tassel, you'll end up tying it off, and those threads aren't going anywhere. So don't worry about it. Also, on this fabric, just so you guys know, there's what I would call is the right side or the wrong side, or you know, the inside outside. On this fabric, you can tell it's just a little bit brighter. The colors of the flowers are a little bit more intense on one side than they are on the other, although you can still see them, which is really nice. Some fabrics you can't see the print on the other side, but I really like it when you can. And on this fabric you can, but I'm still gonna aim them all. I'm gonna aim all of the darker sides up so that whomever receives the package, that's what they'll see, and they'll know how to, if they're gonna do the crisscross like I do, they'll be able to, you know which side to face up. I hope that makes sense. All right, friends, here's our little stack that's gonna go with the kit. We're gonna go ahead and grab my stack that I'm gonna work with. We're gonna take it over to the bin that I have with my trims and also my beads, and we're gonna go pick out some stuff. I'm gonna switch over from my camera over to my phone, so I'll be walking around with it, but I will try to be very careful not to make you guys feel woozy. So I'll try to be real still. So let's go do that. I found this vintage binding here. I guess that's what this is. I think it's seam binding. Anyway, the color is perfect, so we're gonna use some of that. Friends, this is my yarn container, and so I'm gonna look through this and see if there's anything that we could use. All right, friends, I cut this piece of yarn the same size as I did one of these fibers, and I'm going to use this to hold this little bundle together. I've got it folded so that all of the ends are tucked into the center. So we're just going to tie this, and then we're going to tie a little bow, and then that's how part of the bundle will look. And that way when I go to ship it, everything is kind of held together nicely. Now let me know if you have other suggestions or if you think this is cute and you like it, but don't forget to use this in your tassel if you like it. These are the fibers that I'm going to use for my tassel, but we're going to use those real quick to measure out our other pieces that are going to go in the kit. So remember, I found the vintage, whatever this is. I'm not sure what this is, what somebody would use this for in sewing, but it's vintage and I found that. So I think 2 strands in the kit would be nice. So I'm measuring that out, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut that. And then I can't forget to put some of that in my tassel that I'm making. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut one for me. Then I thought, do you guys remember my gingham fabric that I had that I love? It's a vintage fabric also, and I absolutely love it. And I think I'd like to put a little splash of gingham in there. Gingham reminds me of just, I don't know, it's just so wonderful and old-fashioned, and it makes me so happy. So let's go ahead and put 2 gingham strips in each tassel. I'm measuring it, and I have enough for 3, but let's start with 2. We don't want to overpower it, so let's just start with the 2. I had used this to wrap the bundle with, so let me give myself a strand of that. We may come back and add another strand of it, but at least we know everything is even right now. I just want to make sure everything's even right now. Now, I also found this very, very deep green, and the tassel fibers do have some very, very deep green in there. So let's start with 1 strand of this, maybe 2. Let's do 2, because even though it's super, you know, such a deep color, at least it's yarn and it's quite thin. So we'll do that. So that'll be 2 over there. So I hope everybody's doing good. I hope you all enjoyed your weekend. Today is Sunday. I'm enjoying my weekend creating for you guys. I love doing this. I always look forward to it. So then I found some beautiful deep, very, very deep. I guess it's like a purple, it's wine. If I was gonna call it a color, I would call it wine. So let's do, it's very fine, but you know, with our dark colors, a little goes a long way. So let's go ahead and we'll start with one of each. You know, I don't want the tassel to be too dark. I definitely want to keep it, you know, a nice shabby chic look to it. But I do want you to pick up some color. You know, I don't want it to all be just creamy. All right, so let's do, I believe I have 2 strands of this, and this is truly another deep like burgundy, and the flowers in the fabric are the same color. So I think that's a nice option. And again, if you get one of these kits and you don't like something I put in it, don't use it. You know, use it for something else. You know, use it for tags or, you know, something else. Now, I also found this, and this is pretty fluffy. It's a very similar color to the other blues. So let's go ahead and cut one for each. And then as we start to build our tassel, we'll see if we like it or not. All right, then the other thing I had was this velvet ribbon, and the color is pretty nice. And let's compare it to the flowers. It's pretty close. These are a little more raspberry, but you know, I think it's close enough to go ahead and use it. So I think it might be pretty complimentary. So let's try that. We'll cut 2 pieces of that. So I got a new dryer, you guys. I think you knew, some of you knew that my dryer was broken and I was hanging my clothes outside, which I don't mind. I don't mind doing that. But now it's rainy season in Florida, so that became a problem. So, you know, it's nice to get my new dryer. So I'm using that today. So I have some more green. I don't want to go too heavy on the green, but let's try them out. We always, you know, we don't, if we cut them and I don't like it, I'll just use them for something else. It's not a problem. But it's just such a pretty color. And I think too, you know, with spring and summer here, green is just such a rejuvenating color, and I think it might look nice in the tassel, and we'll know that as soon as we start to build it. Now, the only other thing that I picked, this is vintage yarn, and I got this at an estate sale, and I love the feeling of it. This is true cotton. Now, you know, yarn, a lot of yarns are made with a blend of different things, but if you could feel this in your hand, you would love it. I could use this as a stress ball. It just feels so good. But I thought about putting just a few pieces of this in because it's pretty, it's vintage, it feels nice. And so we'll just cut 2 pieces and we will see how that goes. All right, now that we've got our pieces cut, let's go ahead and start to build the tassel that we have here. And then we'll know what we're keeping in the kit. I didn't choose beads yet, but that I usually don't do that till the end anyway. All right, friends, I am gonna go ahead and start to lay my fabrics out in my crisscross pattern. And for those of you that don't know, I do that because it makes the puff top a little bit puffier. And it also, I don't know, the way it distributes the fabrics throughout, I like it. It's not flat. It just, I don't know, it adds something to it. It just does. So, so that's how I do mine. You know, not everybody does, and that is perfectly fine. It's just all part of the creative process that we, you know, prefer or enjoy, and, you know, so there's no wrong answers when we create the things that we create. I just like to share what I do and why I do it. And I know a lot of times I do things differently than other people, and you know, I have my reasons and I just like to share them. So, all right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do more of these, and then I will start adding the lace, not the laces, but the ribbons in. So summer break is coming up, which means I'll be getting some time off of work, and I'm looking forward to that. And I'm gonna go visit my sister. She lives in Georgia, but she rented a condo on Tybee Island in South Carolina. So I'm gonna head up there to spend about a week with her, and that should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump into doing some lives here. I'm thinking this coming week, just so I can get familiar with the process so that when I'm out of town, I can go ahead and be comfortable with doing them. And that way I can take you guys along for some of my adventures. I think that would be fun. So, you know, I'll take you to the beach with me, and I don't know what else we're gonna be doing. She rented a condo right on the beach, so that's probably mostly what we'll be doing. But, you know, if there's a little downtown area, then maybe I could take you guys along. We'll see, you know, we'll see. But I'm thinking about all of that, you know, and I wanna make sure that I'm familiar with the lives and, you know, all that good stuff.
Now I'm just layering my materials, and you can do this in any way that you want to. And you could just do it a couple of times and experiment with it before you settle in on exactly the way you like it. I am tying the double knot here, and this is the part that becomes the loop so that you can hang it on your journal or on a chair or on your wall, like there's a hook on the wall, or from a bedpost. So I left a lot of room in this one so that it could be hung over a doorknob if you wanted, but it could also be easily untied and made smaller.
Okay, we are ready to tie this off. And so since this is a little bit of a smaller tassel, I am not going to go down as far as I normally would. I'll go down approximately an inch. Sometimes the bigger the puff top and the more fibers I have in it, I'll go lower. But when I know that there's not enough fibers to give me a really puffy puff top, then I stick a little bit, you know, stick up here a little bit higher. And look at that, it's perfect. Look at how that is, it's perfect. So since I know it's perfect already, I'm gonna go ahead and double knot that. Now perfect to me and perfect to you might be two very different things. Some people like to get it even closer, and so that it's not really a puff top, it's just gathered. That's fine. The freedom in creating a tassel the way that makes you happy is the most important thing here. It's not to do it the way that I do it. Now, if you're just looking for some guidance, you've never done one, then you might wanna, you know, listen to the things that I share, and you might wanna do one similar, but you don't have to. It's your tassel, and you know, however you make it is beautiful. And you know, the thing that I love about tassels is that they have so much character, and they just have a personality of their own. And so, you know, that's why they're all wonderful. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and trim the bottom, and then we'll go ahead and pick out our little embellishments that we're gonna add to our kit. You know, I was about ready to trim the bottom off camera, but I thought, let me go ahead and trim, you know, do that on camera so that you guys can see. Now, sometimes I hang them, but you don't have to hang them. So what I'll do is just gather the materials, and I'll just gather it to where it kind of looks like we're starting to have some long ones, but some short ones, and I'll just grab it, and then I will trim it. Now, doing it like that doesn't mean it comes out perfect. It just gets you in the ballpark. So why isn't it perfect? Well, some of these might be twisted up inside, right? So then I like to fluff it out. I like to give it a little fluff. Always fluff your tassel. Give it a little fluff, and then I like to hang it. Now I happen to have a little hanger here on my stand for my camera, and I can see, look, remember how I told you there might be, look how this one popped out. Can you see it? Popped right out. It's like a 3/4 of an inch longer than the other ones. So we're just gonna cut that. So, you know, and it came out when we shook it. We shook it up and it kind of came out. So the rest of them look pretty darn good. Sometimes I go through and I angle the edges, but I don't think I'm gonna worry about that on this one. Maybe I'll do just a few. I do like to have some of them cut at an angle. So if you've got some that are just a little bit long, you know, instead of cutting, because it's kind of like your bangs. Like if you start cutting your hair, you know, and you didn't get it perfect, then you keep cutting and you keep cutting and pretty soon, oh my gosh, you've cut off way too much hair. Well, we can do the same thing with our tassels. So if you have a piece that's just a little too long, just cut it at an angle. Do you see how I did that? And then that way you're taking some off and it gives the illusion that it's shorter, but you haven't really made it all the way shorter. Does that make sense? So I'll just pick a few and do that. I'm not gonna do it to all of them, just a few, you know, just spice it up a little bit. All right, so there it is. I'm really happy with how this tassel's turning out so far. Guys, I really like it. Now, this particular fabric, there's a lot of strings on it, so don't worry. Like if, you know, they'll come apart to a certain point and then they'll stop, so don't worry about it. If it bothers you, just go ahead. Like if I see this here, like I don't care, I'd leave it, but you know, just in case that bothers somebody else, I'll just go ahead and cut that. You know, if there's one, I like it, it's shabby chic, but if there's something there it bothers you, just trim it off. It's just, honestly, it's not a big deal. It is not a big deal. It is not a problem. They won't keep shedding, so you don't need to worry about that. And so, you know, I just noticed that when I work with them, then a few more fibers will get a little bit loose, but it's looking pretty good now. Looking pretty good. I think I could find some. Here we go. If I find some, I look for them, I can find them, but it's looking pretty darn good. All right, so there's that. Let's go take our tassel over to the box where I have the goodies, and we'll see if we want to add a little bling bling to it. Relatively small tassel, so we're not going to do a lot of dangles, but I'm just taking a look to see if there's anything else that we want on there. Some of these things are really big and they would be way too big for the scale of the tassel. These might work. Let's pull it out. We'll just, I'm gonna put it right here in my little jar. All right, friends. Well, I couldn't use my big, you know, my big bead here because I needed to make sure I have at least 4. I need to make sure that I can make at least 4 of the same or very, very similar items. So I made 4 of these, and I'll try to zoom in so you can see them. And I made 4 of these on bulb pins. So that's what I'm gonna start with for the little dangles on the tassel, and this might be enough. This is not a big tassel, so we probably don't need a ton of embellishment on it. But if I feel like we need something in addition, I've pulled some additional beads, like this pink would go nice because, you know, there's pink in here. I also have these. This would be pretty too that I could take apart and restring. But let me go ahead, I'm gonna put one, let me move these over, and I'll put one of each of these on this tassel. On this one, I think is where I will attach the bulb pins, so let's do that first because that's so easy. And if you end up getting one of these little kits, you can attach your bulb pins wherever you want. You guys don't have to place things in the same place that I am. I'm just doing you know, kind of random, so they're just kind of hanging there having a good time. So there's the first one. I was trying to decide how I wanted to hang this one, and I think what I'm gonna do is use one of these silver O-rings, put it through, whoopsie, put it through here, and then I think I'll just tie it on to this little strand. So I'm gonna close it up with my fingers. Hopefully I'm in frame, okay. Close it up with my fingers, and then I'm gonna push it through here, and then I'll just tie it on. Excuse the sound, that is the grinder in the garage. And I know a lot of times you guys can't hear our background noises, but I have a feeling you probably can hear that one. All right, let's have a look at that. Yeah, that's pretty cute. So it's just a little bit of embellishment, but you know, it's cute, it adds a little something. I think it's adorable. I don't think I want to add any more. I think I like this. So what I'm gonna do is I will include one of each of these in the little kits that I'll put in my shop. Now let's get the rest of our ribbons together. All right, friends, here are all the fibers that will be going with the kit, and I wasn't sure what the best way to wrap them. I don't know if it's better to do them individually like this, or if it's better to wrap them all together or color coordinate them. And maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll color coordinate them. So we'll put all of the blues together. So there are 4 pieces of blue, and maybe I'll pull this one out to tie them together with, like I did with the little bundle. So I'll take these and I'll wrap them around my fingers. And then I'll tie them with this one. And I'll just do a bow tie, and that way it's really easy to get undone. So there's our first little color-coded bundle. You know, it looks a little messy, but I think that's okay. You know, I'm not using cardboard or anything like that, so I'm reducing waste. Now, if we do, let's see, let's pull the burgundy ones out, and then I'll do the burgundy with the pink. So we'll pull this one, because this is more like yarn, so we'll have one like the yarn, and then the rest of them we'll just wrap around my fingers like we did the other ones. Can't remember how many fingers I used. I think I used 3. There we go. Okay, that's looking good. Afraid if I lift my finger up off of it, it's gonna come undone. There we go. Now I'm gonna try not to tie that too tight because I don't want to crinkle the light pink bow. So it's tight enough so that stuff won't go everywhere, but it's not so tight that it'll crinkle it. So I want to be careful of that. All right, so that one's ready. And now let's do the green. All right, friends. So I have these little bags, and I don't love using plastic just because I think plastic is not great for our environment. But for the case of this first getting started, I'm gonna go ahead and use it for the kits. I think what I'll end up doing is maybe sewing some paper envelopes out of book pages and things, and probably end up shipping in a more environmentally friendly way. But just for, you know, the purposes of this video and kind of getting it together, I will do this. So I forgot to add our little cotton piece, so I'm gonna pop that in the bag with these, and I'm thinking I'll go ahead and put the green in here with it. Let me know what you think about me using book pages instead, or, you know, I can make envelopes out of leftover scrapbook paper. I just, you know, paper is biodegradable, so I prefer that, honestly. I could also wrap in leftover fabric pieces that I have. Those are also biodegradable. I think that's a better choice than plastic. So let me know your thoughts on that. Let me know your thoughts on, you know, how I put the kit together, and if you know, if you like it. And, you know, maybe on Tassel Tuesday, maybe that's something I can work on so that I can build up putting different styles into my shop. If there is a particular style that you'd like to see with particular colors or anything like that, just let me know. I'd be happy to do it. I'm so open to suggestions. But this one was just kind of a nice old-fashioned, shabby chic, springtime look to it. So that's what we did this week, inspired by the actual fabric. And I do like to be inspired by either the fabric I'm using or, you know, if I'm creating a book or something like that. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. See you soon.